The Radio Prophecy by Richard Hugglesby. The quaint thrift store on Maple Street had always been a place of fascination for Emily. Wrapped up in its charm, she spent countless weekends perusing its aisles, looking for treasures among shelves lined with faded books, forgotten paintings, and an assortment of peculiar trinkets. It was during a seemingly ordinary visit that she stumbled upon an antique radio, nestled beneath an old quilt. The wooden casing, polished yet weathered with time, gave it an alluring aura. She could feel a strange pull towards it, a force urging her to take it home. Little did she know, this radio would soon become her captor.
I wonder what stories you could tell, Emily mused aloud as she gently traced her fingers over the radio's surface. Her curiosity piqued. She quickly paid the $10 it cost and carried the relic to her apartment, its surprising weight hinting at the sturdy craftsmanship of a bygone era.
Once settled at home, Emily eagerly plugged the radio into the wall, its old dials and knobs inviting her to interact. After much fiddling, static crackled, and the radio finally came to life, presenting its first segment, a grave recounting of the Great Flood of 1948. Images filled her mind, almost as if she were there, watching the swelling riverbanks breach their boundaries and inundate the town. Dismissing it as a historical broadcast, she listened with rapt attention, only slightly unnerved by the haunting voice narrating the tragedy.
But when she awoke the next day, she found herself on Maple Street. Except it wasn't the present day. Water surged underfoot, and panic filled the air as townspeople scrambled for safety. She was a ghost among them, invisible yet tethered to their sorrow, unable to intervene. As the flood subsided, she was abruptly pulled back to her room, breathless and bewildered.
Over the next few days, the radio cycled through news of violence and disaster. Emily, shaken yet curious, bore witness to history's grim moments, each time helplessly drawn into the scene. It seemed the radio had become a gateway, forcing her to relive moments of pain she could not alter.
It was an unassuming evening when the radio's final broadcast began. Emily sat transfixed as a familiar voice detailed a chilling tale of her own demise, described with clinical precision. The eerie calm of the announcer's voice, recounting her untimely end in fragments of inevitable detail, echoed in her mind, leaving her frozen in fear and anticipation.
The air was thick with tension as Emily sat on her bed, the radio's spectral yet authoritative voice still echoing in her ears. Her hands trembled, but her resolve did not waver. She grabbed a notebook from her bedside table, her eyes both wide with fear and determination. Every fragment of the broadcast, every word predicting her own demise, was meticulously noted down. She needed to remember everything, to catch any clue or detail that might save her from this unveiled destiny.
I need to understand what you are, Emily whispered defiantly to the radio, as if challenging it to reveal its secrets. She stood, the notebook tightly clutched to her chest, and stepped back, taking in the ancient device with renewed scrutiny.
The next days were consumed by her search for the origins of the haunted radio. Emily dove into archives, spent hours at the library, and scoured online forums, hoping to uncover a history that could shed light on its dark powers. She reached out to collectors and historians, weaving their stories and knowledge into the fabric of her investigation. The radio was not merely an object, it was a gateway, a messenger trapped in time.
Emily's research unveiled snippets of its past. Crafted during the 1930s, it changed hands countless times, each owner seemingly cursed. Accounts of them were sparse and fragmented, but patterns of tragedy were undeniable. Each story she uncovered only deepened the mystery, painting an unsettling portrait of the radio as both a relic and an oracle of sorrow.
In her quest to unlock the radio's secrets, Emily stumbled upon a fascinating piece of history. Nikola Tesla himself had built the radio. Known for his groundbreaking innovations and eccentric personality, Tesla was said to have experimented with frequency and energy beyond conventional understanding. This revelation added an intriguing yet ominous layer, suggesting the radio was more than a mundane artifact, its creation steeped in Tesla's brilliance and perhaps his madness.
Emily now understood that she held a piece of Tesla's legacy, a device that likely bridged dimensions, unraveling time itself. This knowledge was both empowering and terrifying. It left her with one path: to tether the radio's predictions to her reality, to confront each prophecy not with fear but with insight.
Every morning, notebook in hand, Emily cross-referenced the radio's ominous broadcasts with the circumstances unfolding around her. She scrutinized patterns in her daily life, seeking logical connections that could illuminate a path to defy her foretold fate. Was the answer in her patterns of routine, in the faces she met, or the places she lingered? She needed to see what the radio saw, to decipher the code of her demise before it became her reality.
And so, amidst a pendulum swing between fear and hope, Emily prepared. She recorded every whisper of the radio, cross-examined every occurrence in her life, and armed herself with knowledge, ready to confront the predetermined path of shadows that threatened her existence.
As Emily delved deeper into her mission to unravel the mysteries of the radio, she began noticing a peculiar pattern in her daily routine. Each morning, she gravitated towards her television, an obsession leading her to immerse herself in broadcasts about paranormal activity. These shows filled her with an unsettling familiarity, echoing the narrative threads spun by the radio. Could her daily consumption of these eerie tales be somehow linked to the radio's prophetic broadcasts?
With each episode, Emily's mind raced, drawing connections between the spectral occurrences on screen and the unfathomable events narrated by the radio. The overlap was uncanny, suggesting a synchronicity she couldn't ignore. Her obsession, she realized, might be the gateway bridging her reality with the radio's prophetic whispers.
Armed with newfound insight, Emily considered Tesla's genius with fresh eyes. His understanding of energy and frequency might hold the key to altering her path. The notion that Tesla's device could interact with dimensions thrilled and terrified her. If Tesla could craft a medium to communicate across time, perhaps she could manipulate it to broadcast into a parallel dimension, one where her fate remained unwritten.
She theorized a plan by modifying the radio's electrical signals. She might redirect its broadcasts away from her reality. It was a long shot, yet a flicker of hope ignited within. With Tesla's brilliance guiding her, she embarked on the delicate task of altering the radio's circuitry, aiming to bend its frequencies and with it, her looming fate.
Fueled by a mix of newfound knowledge and desperation, Emily set her plan into motion. The radio's age-old valves, once groundbreaking in Tesla's time, needed to be replaced with modern components capable of more precise manipulation. She envisioned swapping them out for microcomputers, devices she could program and control. However, even with her determination, she knew this task required expertise beyond her capabilities.
It was during a moment of reflection, staring at the tangled wires and archaic elements of the radio, that Emily thought of Simon. Her friend was an electronics enthusiast with a deep passion for tinkering and tech, the perfect ally in her quest. Simon, always eager to help and secretly harboring feelings for Emily, was more than willing to lend his skills.
"You think this will actually work?" Simon asked, staring at the radio, his fingers itching to dissect its secrets.
"I do," Emily replied, hopeful and appreciative. "With your help, we can rewire its destiny, along with mine."
Together, they embarked on the daunting task. Simon's knowledge of electronics, paired with Emily's insights into Tesla's legacy and their shared objective, brought them closer to a solution. Simon carefully removed the antiquated valves, replacing them with programmable microcomputers under Emily's watchful eye. Each new connection hummed with potential energy, promising to alter the radio's ancient purpose.
"We're rewriting history here," Simon remarked, marveling at their progress. Unbeknownst to Emily, assisting her was a dream come true for Simon, a chance to impress and be close to someone who inspired him.
As they worked late into the night, a sense of camaraderie and possibility filled the room. When the modifications were complete, Emily felt an unfamiliar sense of control over her fate, ready to test if the radio's narrative could indeed be rewritten, if her destiny could be recast. With the modifications complete, Emily and Simon gathered around the radio, excitement mixed with trepidation. The room was thick with the silence of anticipation, each of them aware of the gravity of this moment. Emily planned to test the radio's new capabilities by programming different dates into its system, hoping to glean some insight into whether their efforts had successfully altered its function.
Carefully, she fed dates into the microcomputers. Her fingers moved deftly, anticipation building with each key press. Minutes felt like hours as she waited for the radio's response. Would it relay the familiar and dreaded broadcasts or something new entirely?
The first test, a mundane date from her childhood, produced nothing but static. Encouraged yet cautious, she tried again, inputting a date from decades past, one bereft of personal significance. As the machine hummed and whirred, her heart skipped a beat, wondering if the spectral voice would re-emerge.
Meanwhile, Simon's heart raced, not just from their experiment, but from his desire to express his feelings. His admiration for Emily was matched only by his shyness, making every moment with her both exhilarating and nerve-wracking. Emily, Simon began, the words carefully chosen, "I just want you to know you're incredible, and I'm glad we're doing this together."
Emily paused in her work, a warm smile touching her lips. "Thank you, Simon. I couldn't do this without you."
As the radio crackled anew, their collective breath caught. Whatever message it emitted next would signify whether their efforts had indeed forged a new path, one where Emily's fate was not predetermined by spectral broadcasts, but shaped by the present's touch. As the radio sputtered to life, a voice emerged, clear and authoritative, delivering a broadcast that left Emily and Simon speechless. In an unexpected turn of events today, President John F. Kennedy tragically passed away by choking on a walnut during a dinner party. The broadcast continued, the calm commentary describing an alternate history that defied the world's known timeline.
Emily listened in disbelief, every word confirming that their modifications had wrought a change beyond her wildest hopes. "We did it," she whispered, eyes wide with amazement.
Simon nodded vigorously, his face a mixture of relief and exhilaration. "We really did," he echoed, feeling the shared triumph deeply.
The success of their work opened new avenues and responsibilities, forging a partnership between the two that was both professional and personal. Emily began viewing Simon in a different light. He wasn't just a technical genius, but someone whose sincerity and kindness were becoming hard to ignore.
In Simon, Emily saw more than a friend. Their shared victory bonded them, and she wondered if the chemistry in their partnership extended beyond their shared goals.
Simon, bolstered by their achievement and his growing confidence, felt emboldened in Emily's presence. Her talent and determination inspired him, and the prospect of a deeper connection fueled his actions.
As they faced the possibilities and uncertainties of their endeavor, Simon's feelings became a quiet yet guiding force. Emily, recognizing the value of their alliance and the potential in Simon, began considering their journey with a blend of curiosity and affection, pondering not just the mystery of the radio, but also the challenge of exploring what lay between them. Armed with the knowledge that their modifications had successfully altered the radio's broadcasts, Emily made her next move with calculated precision. She carefully programmed the radio to focus on a very personal narrative, her own daily movements leading up to the prophesied date of her demise. Each broadcast, she now prompted, needed to reveal minute details of her actions, interactions, and circumstances, allowing her to tailor her behavior and sidestep destiny.
As Emily listened attentively, she took meticulous notes on each broadcast, a roadmap of her future days unveiled before her. Each bulletin was a piece of a puzzle, revealing both ordinary errands and unforeseen encounters, providing her with the insight needed to weave a new pattern that could divert her fate.
Simon watched her with a deepening resolve. His affection for Emily was now intertwined with their mission, propelling him to protect her at any cost. The thought of losing her was unbearable, and an idea began to simmer in his mind, one that both terrified and emboldened him. If it came down to it, he might have to step into her place, altering the course entirely.
Emily, sensing Simon's commitment, felt deeply grateful and connected. His unwavering support and the silent pledge in his eyes moved her, reinforcing the strength of their partnership. Their shared purpose and budding bond lent her the courage to face whatever lay ahead.
Together, they navigated the web woven by the radio, a dynamic duo driven by both shared ambitions and a budding romance. As the days unraveled with the radio's guidance and their newfound intimacy, Emily and Simon's resolve solidified, each prepared to face whatever sacrifices might be necessary to ensure a future rewritten. As Emily and Simon ventured further into their quest to outmaneuver fate, they encountered an unexpected obstacle that tested their reliance on the radio's broadcasts. One morning, the radio detailed a crucial maneuver requiring Emily to catch a specific train departing at a precise hour, a key part of her plan to sidestep destiny. However, arriving at the station, she was met with an unforeseen announcement. The train had been cancelled due to an unexpected technical issue.
Panic surged through Emily as she scrambled to adapt. This disruption, absent from the radio's predictions, threw her meticulously planned schedule into disarray. Every moment felt like a ticking clock, threatening to edge her closer to the fate she sought to avoid.
"We can find another way," Simon reassured, quickly shifting into problem-solving mode. They hurriedly mapped an alternate course, trusting in their combined agility to counteract this startling deviation. It became clear that while the radio could provide predictions, it couldn't foresee every variable, reminding them that the future was still susceptible to chaos.
Amidst these challenges, Simon harbored a secret resolve. His willingness to stand in for Emily if circumstances demanded remained unspoken, a silent promise that weighed heavily on his heart. Although Emily remained unaware of the extent of Simon's resolve, his quiet courage deepened their partnership. He internalized his decision, determined to protect her without burdening her with his intention.
Emily, appreciative of Simon's steadfast presence, drew strength from his unwavering support. Their bond, forged through shared trials and the uncertainty of their quest, grew stronger by the day. As obstacles arose, their mutual reliance became their greatest asset, each moment together reinforcing their capacity to face whatever the unpredictable future held.
This unspoken dynamic added a layer of complexity to their partnership, as Simon's secret decision stood poised to alter their course. The potential for sacrifice loomed, an invisible thread interwoven within the fabric of their relationship, waiting to unfurl when the time was right. Faced with the unexpected cancellation of the train, Emily and Simon had to act swiftly to avoid a derailing of their carefully orchestrated plans. Simon quickly suggested an alternative. They could drive to the destination station, aiming to arrive at the exact time the train would have. Despite the detour, this strategy would help maintain the integrity of the day's planned events, according to the radio's forecast.
Emily nodded, appreciating Simon's fast thinking. Without hesitation, they hopped into Simon's car, adrenaline and urgency propelling them forward. On the road, they navigated through traffic and detours, the seconds ticking away as Emily kept a vigilant eye on the clock.
Simon steered with precision, his concentration fueled by the dual mission of reaching their destination and safeguarding Emily's future. He uttered assurances, promising they'd arrive in time, his heart racing with a mix of fear and hope.
In the hustle, Emily inadvertently discovered something that would alter the course of their intertwined destinies. Reaching for Simon's jacket in the back seat, her hand brushed against a piece of paper. Curious, she unfolded it to reveal a heartfelt note. In it, Simon articulated his willingness to take her place if it came to it, driven by love and the silent resolve he'd harbored.
Overcome by the depth of Simon's feelings and the gravity of his secret decision, Emily felt a surge of emotion. Tears pricked her eyes as she realized the enormity of his sacrifice. But rather than inciting fear, Simon's words ignited a fierce determination within her. She vowed to find a way to save them both.
Upon realizing what she'd found, Simon cast a quick glance, surprised yet not regretful. He had meant every word, and seeing Emily's resolve fortified only cemented his commitment further.
With a newfound understanding, their partnership entered a new phase. No longer was it just Emily's fate at stake, but their future together. Determined to outsmart fate and protect each other, they continued to face the road ahead, united, strengthened, and committed to ensuring that neither of them would fall to the hands of destiny's shadow. In light of the revelations and Simon's unwavering commitment to Emily's safety, a new strategy began to form. To evade the ominous shadow of their foretold destinies, Emily and Simon devised a bold plan. They would travel to Aberdeen, aiming to place themselves as far away from the prophesied scene of death as possible. The decision to create physical distance and escape from fate's grasp infused their mission with renewed purpose.
Despite the emotional turmoil stirred by Simon's note, Emily resolved that while the personal stakes were higher, the objective remained clear. Her approach to the radio and its mystery remained unaltered. She was determined to not only thwart the prediction, but also to understand the profound implications of the device that carried such spectral power.
The journey to Aberdeen underscored their commitment, each mile distancing them from the past and potential danger. As they travelled, their resolve grew stronger, fortifying their belief that changing their fate was possible with a combination of distance, anticipation, and unity.
"We've got this," Simon reassured, glancing over at Emily from his position behind the wheel. His words, now laced with a shared vision and confidence, were a testament to their unyielding bond.
Emily nodded, focusing on the road ahead, her mind clear and resolute. Her commitment to solving the enigma of the radio coexisted with the newfound clarity of purpose, fueled by the love and partnership underpinning their mission.
Together, they executed their plan, resolute in their shared belief that through strategy and solidarity, they could not only escape their prophesied ends, but also unearth the true power and purpose of the radio. This journey was not just one of survival, but of discovery, defining their path and potential beyond the boundaries of fear. The roads stretched endlessly ahead, winding like a forgotten song through the misty outskirts of Aberdeen. Emily and Simon drove in silence, the weight of their shared secret sitting between them like a third passenger. The antique radio, now nestled in a padded case in the trunk, felt less like an object and more like a sentinel watching their every move. The farther they distanced themselves from the city, the clearer Emily's mind became, sharpening with a mix of fear and clarity.
What if we were never meant to change it? Emily murmured, her voice barely audible over the hum of the car. What if the broadcast was the only thing keeping us alive, like a warning beacon, instead of a curse?
Simon's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Or maybe it's both," he replied softly, "a curse wrapped in a choice, like a riddle Tesla never meant anyone to solve, or maybe hoped someone would."
That thought lingered in the cabin like a low-frequency hum. Had the radio always been guiding her toward change, or warning her to stay still? These questions no longer frightened Emily. Instead, they spurred her resolve to confront the core of the mystery, to stop running and start unraveling. Once they reached Aberdeen, the town's sleepy atmosphere contrasted sharply with their inner tension. They found a modest inn on the edge of town, its antique decor unintentionally mirroring the enigma they carried. Simon insisted on setting up a makeshift lab in their room, unloading tools, wires, and notebooks, like a surgeon preparing for a high-stakes operation.
Emily wasted no time. She placed the radio on the table, its polished wood reflecting her determined expression. "Let's push it further," she said. "Not just to alter the next broadcast, but to reach Tesla's original frequency. Maybe there's something we're missing. A message not meant for the ears of the past, or even the present."
"A frequency beyond time?" Simon's brow lifted. "That's theoretical, but not impossible."
Hours blurred into the night as they tuned the radio's dials, testing obscure signal ranges, each frequency a door that led to silence or static. The air grew heavier, as if thick with the breath of unseen watchers. Finally, at 3:17 a.m., a pulse unlike any other surged through the speakers. A single tone, low and vibrating, resonated deep in their bones.
"Emily, that's not a broadcast. That's a carrier wave. It's waiting for a response."
Her breath caught. "It's alive."
And then came the voice, no longer the announcer's clinical calm, but Tesla himself, or something wearing his voice like a suit of echoes. "You have unlocked the conduit," the voice intoned. "To alter fate is to unthread the tapestry of all futures. Are you willing to pay the price?"
"Yes," Emily said aloud, her voice unwavering. "If it means saving lives, if it means saving mine and his." But
Silence followed, then the radio's dials turned on their own. The machine emitted a bright pulse of light, and in that moment, Emily and Simon felt themselves ripped from the room, from time, from reality. They awoke in a plane beyond comprehension, a place stitched from fractured memories, infinite rooms suspended in space, each one a scene from a different future. In one, Emily died in a fire. In another, she saved a child from drowning and disappeared. In another still, she and Simon aged together, grey-haired and smiling in a garden of roses.
tears streamed down Emily's face as she moved from room to room. These are all possible futures.
"We're standing in the probability matrix," Simon whispered. "The radio didn't just let us listen to fate. It let us enter it."
At the center of this surreal realm stood a crystalline version of the radio itself, its heart, the origin point. Emily reached toward it, and 1,000 whispers surged into her mind at once. Warnings, regrets, hopes. One voice rose above the rest, hers, from the future.
"You know what to do," her future self whispered. "Choose the thread where you fight, where you don't run, and don't let him take your place. You're stronger than that."
With trembling hands, Emily tuned the crystal radio to a new frequency, one she chose. One where fate could be rewritten by action, not fear. She and Simon were thrust backward, returned to their hotel room with a gasp, the real radio now dark and silent.
"Did it work?" Simon asked, breathless.
Emily smiled, her hand finding his. "We'll find out. But whatever comes next, we choose it together."
The morning light in Aberdeen was gentler than Emily remembered. Outside the inn, birds chirped as if unaware the universe had just been unraveled and sewn back together. The radio sat inert, a relic once more. Whatever power it held, it had chosen to go silent, for now.
"It's quiet," Emily said, her fingers hovering above the radio as if expecting it to spring back to life. But nothing came. No static, no voice, only peace.
"Maybe that's the point," Simon said. "It showed us the storm, so we could learn to build a shelter."
With no broadcast to follow, no fate foretold, they were left with a curious void, the weight of agency. It felt foreign, empowering, terrifying. For so long, Emily had listened for what would happen. Now she had to decide what should.
"Simon," she began, turning to him with a softness that had grown between them like ivy over brick. "I read your letter, the one in your jacket."
Simon froze, heart in his throat. "I meant every word."
She reached for his hand, intertwining her fingers with his. "I know, and I won't let you take my place, but I will let you stand beside me for whatever comes next."
Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them, a promise sealed not by magic or prophecy, but by trust. In that moment, their connection deepened, transcending the chaos that brought them together. The kiss that followed was soft, certain, and long overdue. Weeks passed. Life resumed. The radio remained quiet, and Emily finally placed it in a glass case within a local museum, a plaque beneath it reading, "The Oracle, a device from time." She never explained the full truth to the curator, only that it was a piece of history worth preserving, and perhaps watching.
Emily returned to writing, no longer just journal entries and frantic predictions, but full chronicles of her experience. Her story, once fragmented by fear, began to take shape as a memoir, a cautionary tale, a beacon. She titled it Tuning Fate.
Simon, now fully by her side, created a podcast chronicling unexplained phenomena, dedicating an entire season to the mystery of the radio. Their bond grew in quiet strength, defined not by danger, but by shared purpose and affection, and love.
One evening, months later, they returned to Maple Street, the place where it all began. The thrift store was gone. In its place stood a community garden, lush and blooming with wildflowers.
"Do you think it was ever real?" Emily asked, crouching to touch a violet.
"Does it matter?" Simon replied with a smile. "We're real, we're here."
As they stood in that garden, hand in hand, the wind whispered through the petals like static fading into silence. The future, once a foregone conclusion, now stretched ahead of them, unwritten, untamed, and entirely their own. The end. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe.